Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dealerchat podcast today with James Harding of Chops Garage, myself Joe Bate of Barrow Motors, and I'm delighted to have Sheik Hassan of Motor4U back on again, who's a guest maybe a few months ago, and we learned an awful lot from Sheik. It was a really, really interesting, really well received episode, and since then we've been talking away in our WhatsApp group, and you know, I've changed a lot of things in regards to what Sheik said, and I think a lot of the other guys have as well. And we've all been talking just before off camera, talking about, seems to be a bit of a change going on in the market. A lot of people are making a lot of changes. It'd be interesting to have a more relaxed chat this time and just chew the fat.
Good to see you, Sheik. I missed you last time, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, James. And I know we catch up on the dealer chat, but it's always nice to get together, have a good chat about what's happening in the market, how we're getting on, how everyone's getting on, really. There's been so much change in the last sort of 3 to 4 months. And there's changes daily, isn't there? Every day in the market. But we've found that we've got, we currently stop 330, something like that. But we're about to lose one of our storage areas because of planning permission. So that's going to knock out 120 cars. So it's a good time to reassess, look at what we're doing.
So big changes for you as well, then.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to basically concentrate on getting the site, what we've got currently, correct. So we've got, the workshops, the body shops, the valet inside, getting the flow right. As soon as the cars arrive, getting the flow right, and we are pretty much there, but we're a little bit over processed sometimes. Now, normally I'm buying 70 cars a week, so I sit here buying like non-stop, and it doesn't matter what you buy, as long as you buy it sensible and there's a margin in it, we do it because you're just feeding the conveyor belt as such. Now that I've not bought anything for a couple of weeks, I feel that I can really look at the business and see where we can become more efficient, which is the most important part, I think.
See, that's really interesting to me because of all the people in the chat, you're the guy that terrifies me the most. And the fact that you're so full on, you are literally like hundreds and hundreds of cars go at it. And the fact that you're now saying, well, rather than I need to get another site quick, I need to get another place and keep the volume up. Even you're going, actually, this is time to reflect on the business and decide if there's a better way of doing things with perhaps better, smoother, lower overheads, that kind of thing. And I'm hearing that from a lot of people.
100%, James. And I think what's happened is with the economy is that you're finding that people are looking to basically get the most for their vehicle. That's been brought on by the aggregators like Motor4U, CarWow, We Buy Any Car. I know We Buy is, everybody uses it as a yardstick. But if you look at CarWow and Motor4U, everybody prices through them. Everybody goes on, well, that's what I'm going to get for it. So if you can match it, but then you say to them, well, take it there. See what happens when you put it on the platform. Because it will only be people like me buying it. We're not going to pay you full retail.
No, this is the thing. We were having this chat in the group chat the other day as well. It happened to me, and this is increasing happening. So a friend of mine said, I've got a really nice custom van. What can you give me for it? And we gave him a price for it, and he said, not quite enough. Rocks in a week later and says, I've just sold it to We Buy Any Van. Did you get what I offered you for it? No, I didn't. They came down, they chipped me for this, and they chipped me for that, and they chipped me for the other. And I say the same thing to everyone. The real trade value of your vehicle is the real trade value of your vehicle. If anybody's offering more than that, unless they are very specialist in that make and model of vehicle, and they know that certain additional features on it are going to make it sell better, the trade value is the trade value. And if you're getting offered more than that, it just means when you actually turn up, or whoever turns up to buy it, is going to chip you, aren't they? But you're right, it's a real driver, and people, and this is why it's still so funny to me when people say that a dealer can rip you off, because before anybody turns up now, they've checked 3 platforms for what their part exchange is worth, they've checked 3 platforms for what your car is worth, they know exactly where they are with it, don't they?
If you look at We Buy Any Car and look at their directives are purely to get the vehicle at a value that BCA can make a margin out of. So you've got 3 channels of profit. You've got We Buy Any Car, BCA, and then it's sold to the trade. Yeah. So you've got We Buy have to make a small margin, BCA have to make a margin, and then the trade have to make a margin. So they have to buy cars in double cheap. Motor4U, it's direct to trade. So they just need their 400 quid or £350 that they're charging us. I just think that We Buy are going to get suffocated out of the market.
Oh, you do you? Right.
I think We Buy are going to struggle to compete with people like Motorway and Carway.
Don't you think though, mate, because the fact that you can literally do it within the same day, you can rock up and drop it off, that's where their strength's always going to lie.
It's true, but I think their margins have filtered out from what they were 10 years ago to what they are now. I would love to look at their balance sheet, because I think that yes, you get a lot of foreigners that sell to them who are leaving the country, which I spoke to a guy from WeBuy the other day, and he said to me that their main source of income is people who are leaving the country and people who just want out of the cars, who are in financial trouble. And they operate really well in that space. But the ones who can hold on 5 days or 3 days and are willing to do the pictures and that, and remember, the AI is becoming so good on these platforms that it's so much easier for the consumers, and everybody wants more money out of their car. Everybody does. Everybody, 600 quid, 800 quid, £1,000, you know. But, I mean, when you look at Joe's app that he's got running currently, it's a great source, great entry to source, because you're direct with the consumer. It's unbelievable.
We never pat Joe on the back in this podcast, by the way, Sheik. We never do that publicly. Just that's the golden rule.
There's a guy on YouTube called George Saliba, and he's got 6 sites in America, and it's called J&S Auto House. I'm not promoting him because we're in the UK, but he's a Mitsubishi main agent. His dad started a business. All his sons work there at the business. He's got nearly 1 million viewers on TikTok and 300,000 on YouTube, I think. He's catching you, Joe. And he buys and sells purely to subscribers. Purely. Everybody comes from 4 hours away, 5 hours away. He owns sellmyev.com. They have got high-end Lamborghini, Ferrari, Rolls Royce. And they've got
what was his name again?
George Saliba, Saliba.
Yeah, I watch him. Yeah, Yeah.
He's a good guy, isn't he? He's interesting. He's quite current. He's very good at what he does. He's a very sharp operator. But his product...
He's got a massive set of cojones on him, hasn't he? A massive set of cojones. He'll buy a 200k car with £2,000 margin in it sometimes, though, from what you see on some of the deals. You're like, what?
But do you know, when he operates, James, you look at him, he says, I'm going to enter the market at 94%. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know, and the cars they put through auction and stuff like that. When you look at my business, for instance, and you think to yourself, I need to process that. You can become over-processed and forget about the real, what we do for a living. We buy and sell cars.
Yeah.
That's what we do. You know, there's no secret potion to it. We buy a car and sell a car.
Backing it up a little bit, though, we were talking, because we've run away a little bit now, we were talking about how we speak to so many people that are looking to downsize. Do you think we're in a COVID doldrums, as in everybody... In COVID, you could buy cars, you could make really good margin on them. Everybody wanted cars. That's where everybody was putting their disposable income. It was a really easy market. You know, you could buy stock, leave it on your forecourt for 3 months, and it went up in value rather than going down in value. Do you think we're having a bit of a wake up in the industry after that sort of boom period?
I think that COVID was a real eye opener. It was the Carlsberg year for the motor trade. Really, it's the year after COVID. What I would say is that last January was a real realignment of price. That last quarter, October, November, December, January, was a real eye-opener for everyone. Everybody had to realign their prices. And everybody thought that 10%, 11% price adjustment would iron out the market for the rest of the year. And it pretty much did. You know, I'm sure you two probably realigned prices January last year. January 24, around that time, November, December.
There was that big sort of adjustment, wasn't there? Where they were each month it was 4%, next month it was another 4%.
A little bit of that, because the price point I do, so a lot of sub 5k. I'm lucky I'm fairly resistant to stuff like that.
I'll be honest with you, Sheik. 10% on one of James's cars is about a packet of Quavers, so it doesn't really matter.
I get.
But yeah, us big guys felt it.
I agree with you, James. I think that last year, just after COVID, a lot of people entered the used car market. There was a lot of new starters. Anyone that you see on TikTok, YouTube, Auto Trader, whatever, everyone's saying, oh, the used car market, you can make £1,000 a week. Just buy a car, leave it there for a week, it's going to make £1,000. Or it'll go up 300 quid, or go up 400 quid. There was a lot of entry to market of new traders. I was speaking to BCA partner yesterday, and they were saying that they're so busy with new applications for funding.
Really?
Tons. My mate runs it, and he
Because
said
they all
that
listen to this podcast, Sheik. And we're always talking about, you get some funding and whatever.
get a ton of funding.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is for me? I've not bought anything for about 2 weeks, and it's really hard.
It's a hit, isn't it? Buying stuff's a hit, unfortunately. It's like, yeah, you do get a hit off it, don't you?
You do. Do you know? I think I've got some issue that I can't stop buying. I really have.
It's an addiction like any other, isn't it? Because if you don't get it for a while, you're like,
Yeah.
I'll have to do something, and it'll be a less satisfying one. So you'll buy something, so you've got something, and you've but instantly you're just like, that didn't satisfy me the way it should do. I've had too much of that drug, and that wasn't some good quality stuff. That was some low quality stuff. And do you know what? Now I just feel dirty and wish I hadn't done it.
I get buyer's remorse immediately. I'm like, I've just done a great deal on that car, and then the deal's closed off, or I'm about to do a great deal on that car. Deal's closed off, and I instant buyer's remorse. Oh, was that the right colour? Oh, has that got more paint than I think it needs?
You know what we were talking about, the COVID issue? I would say it's a really strange time because cars are making 1,500 to £2,000 over cap in auctions. Everybody's asking blood for their part exchanges. Everybody wants to pay the least for your car. I don't know. Some people are doing really well. Some people are doing really bad. Do you know what I mean? We've had an average month, 150, something like that. It's been an average month, and we're okay. But we've had to price adjust this morning 76 vehicles. My son wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, same as me. Price adjust for an hour and a half. 76 cars we've price adjusted because we want to have a clear out, and start again. But then there's that old scenario. Do you have a clear out and you can't rebuy? It's different if you overbought at the wrong price, but our cars are priced well. And the aggregators we use, Auto Trader, eBay Motors Group, CarWow, Car Gurus, we're everywhere. Everywhere. We're like the plague.
I do think the days of coming to a car dealership and negotiating a deal are very fast diminishing. I think fixed pricing is going to be across the board. You're going to, it's going to be what it is. And again, it's back to the argument that the only reason you were able to negotiate before is because the buyers weren't aware of what the true retail value of the car was. You were rocking up on a forecourt that you drove by maybe, but before, I'm saying before online, that's maybe going back a bit too far, but before you had price indicators on platforms, you could just go up to the car dealerships in the local area and pick a car you like, and you really didn't have much idea whether the price was fair or not, and the dealer therefore had enough margin to do a bit of a deal with you. That doesn't exist anymore, does it?
I reckon, well, the two things I want to say. One is talking about getting a deal and things like that and being fixed price. I think people have always had this. You've got to go and ask for some discount. You don't really know the price, but you've got to try and get some money off because it's probably there on the table to get some discount off the seller. So you get people coming in and they'll sit with us and they'll keep saying, "Sure, there's no movement." And they're talking about 100 quid and they're going to pay for the car, 20 grand car in cash. They're not really bothered about 100 quid, but they don't want it on their conscience that they didn't get money off if it was available to be taken off. I think so. I think that's where it's really important. You've got a process and you sit them down and like, right, we are fixed price. We do have an admin fee and whatever, but look how we price our cars. You are bang on market. In fact, this car is £200 behind market. We don't normally sell them this low. So already you're getting a great deal. You kind of explain it to them and like reassure them. And they're like, do you know what? They've got a process. If I want this car, that's how I'm going to buy it. And I'm not leaving something on the table.
Yeah, I do think though it's customer perception. If you look at the really big operators in the past, like Car Giant, when it was Trade Centre, the reason they called it Trade Centre is because people thought they were buying trade cars at trade prices. I had a guy come in about 5 years ago in Croydon, and he said to me, he had a BMW, and he said, "Oh, I want £7,000." I said, "Well, it's only worth 5 because it can't be. I bought it from Trade Centre." it's, it's people's perception.
Those models are the best, aren't they? Where people think they're getting trade prices on cars. There's a platform we've discussed a few times. I won't mention the name on here, but yeah, where you can sell cars at near retail but pretend like they're getting a trade deal and have no comeback is ideal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny when you sell on finance, nobody asks for a discount. Yeah. Nobody.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's the payment, isn't it?
It's been such a change in the market. If you look at 7 years ago when the bad credit market was so strong, And there was people like Welcome Finance. Do you remember Welcome?
Dougie was talking about it the other week, but I didn't know it.
That's it. Welcome were an American company, and there was DCF just local to us, Direct Car Finance. And these were the days before the FCA. CCL didn't really keep an eye on it. But you'd bring the people in, absolutely batter them for hours, and then send them outside. They had these lovely cars in the showroom, but you couldn't have one of them. They'd take you out the back and give you a 200,000 mile Mondeo that you'd be paying £400 a month for 5 years. And that's how they operated. But that marketplace was so strong for a long time. But now, because of all the regulations, and which is a good thing, it's changed everything. And it is a good thing.
The regulations is a good thing, but the consumer needs to understand that it's now changed the marketplace on the other end as well. It's not just a one-way door, is it? Is that there's no longer the margins there that allow you to be able to give big discounts when they come in, or over-allow on a part exchange.
Exactly. I just think that the market has changed so much because we had COVID. You guys been in it same amount of time. I've been in it longer, but we used to be able to buy cash and know that we were going to lose 3% on that car a month or 5% on that car a month. We knew it every single month. Those cars were consistent, and we knew what that car would be worth next month. Now, with the advent of COVID, up and down, then EVs, all these things have changed the market because there's been huge price changes. Huge.
The movement in EVs is terrifying, isn't it? Absolutely terrifying. How much an EV can drop in 1 month.
Yeah, I've just chucked £1,000 off a Model 3 Tesla that we've had in stock for a few weeks. You only started off with about 2.5 in it, so now we're talking about getting about 900 quid out of it. Whereas before, for a little while, we were doing all right out of those. You wouldn't make huge margins out of them, but they were fairly steady. They were the one that was steady. But yeah, they're starting to tank now. So
well, even Joe, you look at the Model Y. I've got about 5 of them, and they've just introduced a new Model Y. So they've done a facelift, and it looks really nice. It's got the BYD Tesla Cybertruck sort of front on it, and they brought out a 7-seat in it as well, which will be a game changer, be an absolute game changer. But I've got 5 of them that were priced really cheap. They're now expensive, but not expensive, but they're about right. Problem is the new one is like 65 grand. The second hand, it's not going to affect those second hand markets straight away because no people who are going to buy mine at 30 aren't going to buy the ones at 70 that are in Tesla. But the market changes so quick. And if you look at EV, we were selling. I got an invoice out the other day for a Model 3 2 years ago. Do you know what I sold it for? 47 grand. 47 grand. A standard plus. That car with 60,000 miles on it, Joe. That car now, 15 grand. It's only 2 years older.
But interestingly, see, at my end of the market, I just put a video out yesterday at my end of the market where I sold a Nissan Micra, I think it was nearly 5 years ago. The lady's only put, albeit like 8,000 miles on it. She brings it in, and the retail value of it now is pretty much what it was 5 years ago, bar 500 quid. So that's why my little comfort zone is cheapies.
Bottom, do you know what I mean? It's probably, unless it's an MOT failure, it's not really going to get much cheaper than whatever it was, a couple of grand, 3 grand. It's still a cheap runaround, isn't it? It's not for another 10 years. It's going to stay that sort of value. Speaking
to all the people that I speak to every day in the marketplace and how we're operating and everything else, I think for the next 2 years, because, see, I wanted to really open another branch this year, 2 branches. And now what I've looked at is that we're going to operate this site as a 200 car site. Then we're going to open another one with 150 cars and another one with 150 cars. But overstocking at 350 cars, and I'm getting that one from that side, getting that one from down there, it's just too much. And you need so many people on site to do that. It just isn't clean and efficient.
Do you think it'll be like the pub game where it'll be survival of the fittest, where a town used to have 5 in it and you end up with just sort of 1, and then they just get to gather up all the business that's left over?
I think the next couple of years are going to be the real, like, sort the men from the mice, or whatever term you want to use. Because my theory, going back to in our group, everyone's talking about like downsizing, slimlining and being more efficient and all that sort of stuff. That's what's happening now. There's still a few of us in there who are like, I was thinking about borrowing some money and having some more cars and make more money that way. But those of us who have been looking at that are now thinking, hang on a minute. The last few years, obviously, the market was like that. So it's just a case of the more money you threw at something, the more money you made. It may have not been that efficient, but it didn't matter because you were making money. Just throw a bit more money at it, borrow a bit more money. It wasn't that expensive. Throw more and you'll make more. And now it started to slow off again. You're like, throwing money at this problem doesn't make it better anymore. In fact, the money's really expensive. I'm going to have more problems. It's harder to sort all the stuff. And actually, the overheads are outstripping my profits now. Like you're saying, Sheik, if you were to slimline down and be like, right, but rather than just putting all our time and effort into more stock and more money, if we like get ourselves shit hot at what we're doing and, you know, really narrow down on the expenses, the processes, all that sort of stuff. So we know, like, right, we got it down. Like you say, if you're down to 200 cars, but you know you're like spinning it over and you're making loads of money, and then make another one. You know, make another one that's as efficient, but not just like, okay, we've got 350 cars here. Let's get another 350 somewhere else because if we can get the money. So if you throw it at it, it'll work. But it's not quite that. It's not as buoyant anymore, is it? So it's just not going to work.
I don't know how you've begun to think about how you'd stock that. How would you find that 350 cars? I mean, is it just a case of every auction in the country you're putting bids in everywhere? Is that how it works? And you're just collecting from all over the place?
It is. I do my homework at night time. So I go on BCA, I go on Motorway. I had a whole team of people buying from Motorway. 4 people just ran my Motorway team. And they would be out every day picking up 5 cars a day from Motorway. And then I'd buy 10 cars a day from BCA. That's how we done it. My son would be getting phone calls at 9 o'clock at night going, I'm here, I've looked around the car, I've sent the sheet, what do you want to give for it? And Motorway paid, but Motorway's gone mental. 70 bids on cars, 80 bids on cars. When I started,
Do you use CarWow at all?
I do go on it, but I've not bought a car from there as yet. Apparently, their IT, my friend joined last week.
No, I was just going to say I had a little look last night, and the prices just don't seem to work.
How we operated with them, being honest, is minimum chip was £1,000 minimum.
Right. Okay.
Everyone lies about the condition of their car. Everybody does. My mate would go around there, the guy employed by us, he'd go round the vehicle with a fine-tooth comb, drive it, do this, do that, and chip it at £1,000 minimum. It's hard because we're only one bid away from the next person. So they're just Motorway encourage you to don't take that bid and take it from the next person. With Motorway now, they have a lot more control over what you do, and they encourage you to go onto Motorway Pay.
It might sound harsh that, you know, my minimum chip is £1,000. The other thing we haven't discussed is the increase in the costs of simple work now, like wheel refurbs and painting bumper corners. All that kind of stuff has gone through the roof, isn't it? Parts have gone through the roof. So if, you know, someone might go, oh, that sounds a bit harsh, shipping £1,000. But if you turn up and you have got 3 alloys that are scuffed that you haven't mentioned, you might go, oh, that's only a little kiss of the curb or whatever. But when someone rocks up at your place and is looking to spend 40 grand on a Tesla, they aren't going to want to see a chipped wheel, are they? And what's a wheel now to refurb? 125 quid?
Yeah, and when you come here, you'll see my oven set and everything else. Even the energy costs are on there. The gas, because they're gas run. My oven, it's not cheap. I've got 2 painters. One's 45, one's 40. They're not cheap, mate. Do you know what I mean?
No, you can't have a cheap painter, no.
No, and you know they've got 30 years experience each. They're unbelievable. They can do anything, but they're not cheap. You know, it's like techs. If you want a good tech, you've got to pay 40 to 50 grand. You know, Master Tech or a JR Tech or an EV Tech or something like that. Everything costs a fortune. I had a guy come the other day buy a 21 plate X5. And he was chopping in a Peugeot 3008. Wow. Anyway, the car, he said to me, it's mint. Turned up with it, dent under the door, dent on the wing, and wheels need to be refurb. I said to him, it's 500 quid, but I'll do it for 250 because, you know, we can get it done here. So that was cost to me, 250, which was cheap. It's probably dearer to me. And he said, no, I want the same money what I asked for, 12 grand. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because you've not told me the truth. You know, we have little margin in our car. You want full up for your car, but you know you can't moan about the condition about my car because it ain't got a mark on it. But your car, you know, and I'd rather let him walk. I'd rather let him walk away because I'm not going to bend. Let him go somewhere else.
Well, you have to let him walk away because you can't eat 500 quid on a car that might be down to £900 margin.
No.
Especially if he's going to then ring you 2 months later and go, my EGR, whatever, or my DPF, or my bloody bloody blah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
And
that's
when you
it.
look at our setup, up until 3 months ago, we used to do £500 fully refundable, non-refundable. We now do 99 refundable. But when you change those numbers like that, you've got to be prepared to lose 20% on fallout. You've got to be, because we are now a data run numbers company. We run on sales numbers. We're not every single larger operator runs like that. And James, you've done it in the past. You know, if you offer a product a lot cheaper, you're going to get fallout. You're going to get, because people, £99 to people, it's a Deliveroo meal or something like that. So they think to themselves, well, I'll stick the 99, but tomorrow I won't want it. But when we had these sales trainers in and they said, stick the £99 in, or do this, do that, it's fine doing that, but what are the parameters for? So when you put your 99 down, how long does that hold that car for? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What's your refund process? What's your process for taking it? And so then I have to think to myself, if I'm refunding 10 a month, I don't want to be doing that all the time, getting phone calls saying that needs to be processed. So you can implement these things, but you have to rip them apart and really see
Yeah.
what is the.
And there's such detail behind all this, isn't it? People will think, just refund the £99, whatever, if they haven't come to look at the car. But it could be that car literally was on the 31st, and you come in on the 1st, and the price readjustment is now this much, and you had somebody else that was interested at the same time. You didn't let see it because they had their £99 down, and now you've got to drop it £500, £1,000 because the new caps come out, and it looks overpriced.
So what's your thoughts on that now, Sheik? Do you think you're better off with the 500 quid and going back to that? And going back to
No,
500
we're
quid?
sticking
You
on
don't?
the 99. We've now got a process. So one of the admin ladies, she's got access to a separate bank account that takes that 99, and she can refund that 99. And all it holds is those 99 deposits.
I won't take a deposit at all. My reason being that if it's refundable, what's the point? So what I'd say to somebody is, if you tell me when you're coming down to look at the car, if you're going to come in down and see it on Tuesday and you're going to be here at 10 o'clock, till Tuesday 10 o'clock, I'll let you have a look, the car. But if you don't turn up at Tuesday 10 o'clock, it's for sale. 'Cause I'd rather not. Yeah, I don't know. The deposits I don't see the real point of them. They don't really. Do you think they really generate any proper commitment?
The problem we have is that if you've got a cheap car, like Pi X or something, and you get 100 phone calls on it and 25 emails, it's really, we say no deposit, aren't they? Because it's first come, first served. On the bigger stuff, what you find is that it's customer contact. So the discovery part of what we do as a business, the more discovery you do with that customer, the more interaction you get with that customer, the more that customer will buy from you. So our qualifying
Yeah,
sheet,
that makes sense.
exactly. So then we've also got that Part X app that we use now. Every customer, we say to them, we can either give you a valuation online, which will take 2 minutes. We give you a brief description, 1 to 10 condition. If 1 is crap, 10 is brand new. How many keys? What's the tires like? Da da da. Or we can send you the app and we'll give you a guaranteed value on your car. So you give them that alternative. But when you send them the app, it gives you another point of contact. Did you know the time someone sees a car on Auto Trader to the time they actually buy it is 45 days? And that's Auto Trader information.
Really?
Yep, 45 days.
Why would it be 45 days? Why would there be that big a gap?
Don't know.
Auto Trader will tell you that the buyer starts their kind of journey. It's like foreplay, isn't it? They start having a look around, they start narrowing it down, they might save a few favourites. Then they go away and they have their busy week at work, and they come back at the weekend, they look at those cars again, they do a search again, and if it's like, they see these patterns of people coming back, looking at it again. That's why they say it's really important that if you're on Auto Trader, you keep a track of people who've saved that car to their garage, because it might be really useful, because you can save to your garage just like your favourites. It might be useful to just do like a 50 quid reduction or a 50 quid or 100 quid deduction, because they all get notified, and it's like, by the way, 40 other people are watching this car and it's just being reduced by 100 quid.
See, I get, if a car has 45 days, they're like, why have you had the car so long? Why have you had the car so long? I see you've had it for a while.
If you look at Impel,
But again, that's a different type of market, isn't it?
yeah, Impel are big operator in North America. They do the AI lead control. So they will run your lead conversions, figures, answer them all on AI. They're massive in America. They've just opened here in the last year and they're trying to build business. They charge £2.50 per lead to deal with all your leads. Their visitor chat is 1,858 plus VAT. That's their visitor chat. I don't know what you pay, Joe. I pay 150 plus VAT for visitor chat. Have you got James on your?
What, per month? Yeah, 150
No,
plus.
no visitor
that,
chat.
isn't it?
No visitor chat on my site. No. I mean, I'm on. If you want to send me a message on Facebook, I'm there 24/7. I'm replying to people asking me about cars all the time, and on the website, but no visitor chat. No.
So when the guy came down and he showed it to me, because Available Cars got it on their website, he said to me, "Sheik, it's £858 plus VAT, but you can type anything in it." I said, "But are you sure the UK public's ready for that? Because the UK public will go on a website and they don't want to know what the price of bread is in Sainsbury's and in Flimwell. Do you know what I mean? Because it can answer anything. There are some good parts to it. You can put in there, can you show me any vehicle that does 35 miles per gallon? But does the UK public know to use visitor chat like that? Or will they answer it?
No, we did get asked some very stupid questions, so it'd be quite nice if somebody else could field some of those out.
Yeah. He said to me that if it's a woman's name, a bloke will always try and chat her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
Well,
8th.
Theo had that, didn't he? Theo actually got a low review on Google because the chatbot. What was it? Wasn't replying
He
to
got
him.
his only 1-star review because when the guy phoned them in the morning after having spoken to the chatbot overnight, he was really pissed off that he couldn't speak to Angela or whoever it was. He's like, that's who I was dealing with. That's who I should be speaking to. He'd fallen in love with her and he couldn't speak to her in person, so he left him a 1-star review.
That's bad. I'll get back to Impel. They contact that customer 51 times. As soon as they get a lead in, the AI will contact that customer 51 times. It will book in a part exchange. It will book in a test drive. It will book in all that stuff for you. But it's £2.50 a lead. If you think,
These numbers add up very quickly when you're talking about 300 cars on site. That number adds up very quickly, I would have thought.
For us, it would be 7,500
It's not just
a
the
month.
cars, it's the leads, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so you've got 300 cars there, and you get a couple of leads per car, 3 or 4 leads per car. That number, £2.50, adds up pretty damn quick.
Oh, it's massive.
You could have 2 full-time admin staff and 2 valeters for that.
Yeah, we're toying at the moment. At the moment, all our leads go into Auto Convert. Have you ever used Auto Convert?
No.
Auto Trader. It's a great system.
No,
It's not expensive.
Sheik, I've never had an Auto Trader package, Sheik. I've never paid for an Auto Trader package.
That's mad.
I don't know why we let him on this podcast, to be honest.
Because you need the yin to the yang, don't you? That's what you need. You need someone doing it at a completely other end of the spectrum. All the cars I've sold, I was thinking about it today. All the cars I've sold this month, I haven't paid Auto Trader for any of them. I haven't even put a normal. They've all come via Facebook or recommendations.
See, now I'm really starting to dislike you, James. only because the other day I had Auto Trader in here and he said, Sheik, I know you're dropping down your Auto Trader package because obviously we're dropping from 300 down to 200. So I said to him, yeah, we're going to drop down. He said, oh, but if you stay on the same package, we'll give you double your over cars. But I said, that's 27 cars. What difference does that make to me?
Yeah.
And that's dropped from 30.
Yeah, what's that? Oh, bloody hell, what's 100 cars? 10 grand?
Yeah, I've dropped from 37 to 27.
Grand, Christ.
So,
a month,
sorry, 10 grand a month on Auto Trader.
No. He was paying 37 grand a month. Now he's down to 27 grand a month. So he made a 10 grand saving.
7 grand on Auto Trader.
I forget you weren't here for the first episode, James. Tell him how much you spend on motorway, Sheik.
40,000 a month we suspend it. 60,000 in indemnity.
I've lost that. 77 grand just on Auto Trader and motorway. Is that what we're saying? Something like 77, was that right? About
It's huge.
77k on Auto Trader
It's
and
huge.
Motorway. Just holy
It's crazy. It's
moly.
huge. It's huge. I know it scares me, but I will say the growth that we enjoyed the last 3 years of being at a bigger site, I wouldn't change it for the world. I've made some mistakes. I've made tons of mistakes, but I've absolutely loved the journey. I've loved it. And I said to my kids yesterday, last night, the two boys and my daughter, we've still got the ingredients of a great business. Everything is great about what we do. And if you don't like something in your business, change it. Change it. We built this. We
Yeah.
built this from nothing. We all did. One car, two cars.
Yeah, I still haven't got over one or two cars though, Sheik. That's the difference.
Yeah, but the thing is, James, you get to a point where you love what you do, and then you think, I don't love what I do. And when you stop loving it, then it's time for change. It is really time
Yeah,
for change.
no, very
And
true.
when you're proactive, you absolutely are on it, like on fire. Joe will tell you, and you know this as well, James. When you were 5 cars at home, it was phones ringing, busy all the time, all the rest of it. To try and relate that into a bigger business, it's the hardest thing to do because no one will care like you care. No one. No
No,
one cares.
yeah, that's the biggest problem, isn't it? Yeah.
You can't rely on
100%.
people to use the same initiative that you use as well. You know, just simple things. I'll get people like, oh yeah, no, the alloy wheel refurb people are fully booked. They can't do it for a week, and that car's meant to go out on Saturday. And I'm like, right, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. It's like, have you phoned the next telephone number down on Google and see if they can fit it in? No, I haven't tried that. It's like,
It's. Do you know what I said
Yeah,
to one of the
no.
salesmen today? He said, "Oh, Sheik, the guy wants 25,000 miles a year on his PCP." I said, "Well, how long does he keep it for?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Bring him back, ask him how long he's going to keep it for, because at the end of the day, it's only relevant if he's going to hand it back to the finance company, because that's going to cost him triple of what he's going to pay." It's just using that knowledge, and sadly, the people you get around you just haven't got that knowledge. Sadly, they haven't got that
No.
knowledge. And it's really annoying.
Yeah, I used to find this even when it wasn't my own business, when I worked for companies managing teams of people. It was my, biggest frustration. And I almost think that the fact I was able to climb the ladder fairly quickly was because everybody else just didn't give enough of a monkeys about the business. That they just were doing the absolute minimum all the time. And that's the thing that does scare me about expanding is I'm a bit of a control freak, is handing stuff over to other people.
I agree with you, James. And you know what? Monitoring people is really difficult. I've got a workshop foreman, right? He's 50 grand a year, and he has to monitor 6 techs. Yeah, we've got a Dragon system, books them in their jobs, they log on, they log off, and they've got KPIs, efficiencies, and all that, right? So now, because I don't trust what he does, I've now brought in my mate Sam, who was ex-DP of Bexley Audi and Marshall's Audi, to keep an eye on him. So it's defeating the object, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
Now you think, should I cut back on 6 techs and go back to 3 because I've got 200? I'll be down to 200 cars in 6 weeks. I'll keep 1 painter, 3 techs who are really good, 3 valeters, and I'm actually looking forward to it. But we will sell 125 cars a month from 200 because we'll be more efficient.
there's someone famous in business who's sort of says 10's the most amount of people that one person can manage. And I mean, we've got about 10 here, maybe, and I don't think I manage them very well at all. But then I do a million and one other things. So I think if I was just on this, then I probably would.
Yeah.
So I think for you, James, you could employ half a dozen people and be on top of them. And actually, it's quite easy. When you get to Sheik's size and he's got 40, 50 people working for him, it gets a lot harder. Like you say, there's levels of people that you have to, and it gets like diluted down, and it gets more expensive. And I've said for ages, I think the smaller your team is, the more potent your team is.
yeah.
Especially if they're invested and whatever, which I think is what a lot of people are thinking about. Like
You need
slimming
people
down
buying
now.
into the business, don't you? As in, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to backtrack a little bit again, just because we talked about your Auto Trader spend, and you said you're reducing yours because the size of your lot is going down. But we're hearing a lot of people because people won't know this, will they? What was the price increase? 6% or 8%? Was it?
8.
8, just under 8.
8%, and that happened in beginning of January, didn't it? And there seems to be, from what I can see, there's a lot of people that are looking to are scaling it down as well. That even though they're not scaling down their business, they're scaling Auto Trader down. There seems to be a little bit of a kickback against Auto Trader for this one. Are you hearing that from other people as well?
100%. I I can't I can't stress enough how much important it is to try other aggregators. You see, Car Gurus. I spoke to Dave from Car Gurus last night, and they've asked me to go on the podcast actually on 12th of February. So you got a bit of competition, Joe. They're all
Get
going to be
off
in
now.
Boston, I think. They're all going to be in Boston, apparently. But he was saying that when you look at Car Gurus, value for money, I'm about 3,000 a month in Car Gurus for 350 cars. That is less than 10% of Auto Trade.
I can't see what value they're adding for that 8%. It almost just seems like this eternal growth thing that so many companies have for shareholders now, where it's just, well, we're just going to stick it up 8% and see how we do with it, see how we get away. And then people are reducing their packages, and then they'll be being offered freebies like was being discussed with you, and it's like, but you've already put the bad taste in the mouth now, haven't you already? And even then, why couldn't you have done that before, kind of thing?
I think you guys have got such a platform to really increase your. I don't think sales maybe come from this, but buying is such a great avenue for you guys. When someone sees one of my cars on Auto Trader, they just see a picture of the car. They don't know how big we are. They don't know that we've got 350 cars. They don't know we've got 6 workshops and body shop and all the rest of it. So we're up against everyone else. When you guys put a car on there, you can link all your YouTube videos. You can link so they know who they're dealing with. And there's an honesty about it, a real honesty about the pair of you. And that comes across so well in what you do. And I think what you're saying, James, is that the aggregators, my total aggregators, don't come to a quarter of my Auto Trader spend per month. And that's eBay, Motor Group, CarWow, Car Gurus, all of them.
But Sheik, have you got? I should probably know this. Have you got anybody in house doing media? Have you got anybody following you around videoing with a YouTube channel? See, that's really surprises me. You're so switched on with everything else. That's 100% free marketing. And what would it cost to employ someone, Joe? 20k to employ someone come out of college or uni in media? And you've got 100. How many? What was it? 300 cars. Now I'm getting frustrated. Now you've got like 300 cars going on there. You've got stuff going on. 20. You've got people spraying stuff in spray booths. You've got trade-ins coming in. You've got cars going out. Your channel would be like fire.
And it's a family business, so you've got all the family relations and all that sort of stuff.
Mate, you would absolutely free marketing, and people would be all over it. All over it.
Do you know what? I've looked at it and I might try it. I've done a couple of TikTok things like videos. My wife says to me, you'd be really good at it and you'll smash it out and whatever. But I just, you know what it is? Internally, I'm quite a shy person. I am. I'm very inward. And I like to think that I should do it, but you have to become like a persona of who you are.
You just make a start. I'm quite an introverted person. I want to go home and be left alone of an evening. I don't really want to talk to anyone, and I get really anxious.
Why do you think I'm just a pointing hand on my channel? I'm not even on camera, mate.
Yeah.
It's you don't have to be on camera yourself.
James's finger is the most famous finger on YouTube.
Yeah.
But no, other family members might be keen on doing it. Do you know what I mean? Your daughter or your son might be keen on doing it. You don't have to be the one on camera. You don't have to have anyone on camera if you don't want to. But I guarantee, a personal guarantee to you, if you started filming that, you would get stock with zero cost. Do you think how much you're paying all these platforms to get cars in? Yeah. You'll get stock in with zero cost, and it'll be better quality, and you'll be able to have a look at it, and you will get sales off the back of it that have cost you nothing to generate as well. Absolute cast iron guarantee that.
And the networking. Like, look at it. Look at how it's worked for me. We've got Sheik and all these other guys in the WhatsApp group. So just learning from each other.
We said this last week. The fact you've got these guys that have got these fantastic businesses, and they're not all over TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just blows my mind. You're talking about 50 grand for tech, which is just like I know there's savings from obviously doing the repairs yourself, but just one like 20k, 25k position within your business could generate 10 times that.
Yeah. Well, I look at you guys, and I know that what you do is such a, and you've not happened. It's not happened overnight. It's like your business. It's not happened overnight. You've grown that channel, and you've made it so professional and so interesting. You know, I love watching you guys. You know Neil, who was on DealerPod. He was my first consultant. Do you know that? He's a he's a really nice guy. He really knows what he's doing. He was marketing director for Imperial Cars. They went up to 18 sites, and then they sold to Kazoo. Really interesting journey that is. But I do think building a YouTube channel is the next stage of where people have to do. Motor traders have to start building their social media
Yeah,
platforms
yeah.
to buy cars.
It's great. Like I said, I mean, you're talking about that George chap on his channel, and you're watching and going, it's great, this, that, and the other. And you've got exactly the same business to a certain extent going on right now. And literally, while you're sitting there, there's content going on. There's been a drama with a car downstairs. There's been drama with a part exchange. There's been drama with a handover. People love the drama. And yeah, it's just you literally have a channel just waiting. I'm jealous of how much content you've got.
Yeah, I
ready to go.
wish you weren't like 3 hours away, because I'd come and produce it. I'd get my guys to come and film it. You got the perfect backstory as well. You know that we went through on the last podcast that James may not even be aware of if he hasn't watched it. But you know that you used to love a drink. You ended up having heart failure, and then when you were sort of lying in hospital thinking I might die here, you were like, do you know what? I'm going to take my sort of 30-car pitch, and I'm gonna make a car supermarket now. Let's have it.
You've even got a decent backstory.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Do you know, James, that when I was in finance for 20 years, something like that, bought a load of property in the late 80s and lost everything in the
Really?
late 90s, the whole lot, yeah. So my mother-in-law gave me a room in her house, and I lived in that room with my wife and my 3 kids, 4 years. So we ate in that room, slept in that room, and I went through a bit of depression because I had lots of avenues and opportunities, and I pissed it all up, to be honest with you. To be honest, totally honest. And I woke up one morning and I was absolutely brassic. So my mother-in-law gave me a room in her house, and my mate come along one time and he said, "Ree, do you want to sell this car for me after 4 years?" And I said, "Yeah, right, I'll sell it." And it was a Saab 900 with the key at the bottom with a night button and that. And I made 800 quid. And I thought, this is great. And something sparked, and my little girl was a couple of years old. She's 28 now. And I used to get up at 6 in the morning, get the loot, go and buy a car and trade it to a mate of mine for 100 quid. The Golf Cabriolets we used to do. So all them GTRs and all the rest of it. And then I started building up. I've got 1,800 quid. And those were the days where I used to go and buy a Clio RT. I don't know if you remember them, J-Reg. Clio RTs
Yeah.
and things like that. And I'd sell it.
Smart one.
And then we'd get a draft for payment, like a $2,000 draft or whatever. So you pay that in the bank, and you got to wait 7 days for that to clear before you can go and buy something else. But my wife used to put my 2 sons in the car seats, and we should drive to Northampton BCA. She'd feed them in the car park, and I'd go and buy a car, and she'd follow me home. And we'd clean it together in the driveway of her mum and dad's house, and then sell it. And that's how we started, James. That's how we started. You know?
I love it. I absolutely love it, mate. I'm literally going to give up my business and come and just sleep in your garage and film it. I'll make more off YouTube than out of YouTube on your place than running the business. I think you did something like Joe's. Like the thing I've always, I think one of the first things I got into watching Joe's stuff is I love the weekly update, almost like a what do you call those things, like documentary? Yeah, I know. I mean, even if you just did one a week like that, I do think you'd have a lot of content through the week, just doing TikToks as stock as it comes in and goes out. But if you did like a fly on the wall just once a week for what's happened, there's so much going on. It would be really like I think it'd do really, really well.
And make a commitment, hire someone for the year and get them to do it, like I did with a weekly. And it's not even our highest like viewed videos, and it's not certainly to start off with it wasn't. People enjoyed them to start off with, but the important thing is when it comes to like doing YouTube content for a business, you don't have to have loads of views for it to be really, really impactful and get a lot of leads. You only need, let's say 1,000 people watch a video, which is going to grow exponentially. You only need 2 or 3 of them in that week to be like, do you want to buy my car? Or I saw that car. The amount of ones we see, I saw a car in the background, and can I come and have a look at that?
And this is the thing with it as well. It's not only that it's only going to cost you the cost of the person doing the content, doing the editing. Once the YouTube gets to a certain point, it's actually going to pay more than the person that's doing the editing, and then therefore all of your sales and all of your stock coming in is like not free. It's actually making profit on top of the profit you make on the car.
And you're suited and booted, so it's not going to be long before Moss Brosser on the phone saying, we'll sponsor you with some suit.
Slaz and Jura being on to me so they can see scruffy jumpers while I roll under cars.
I've just ordered some uniform from Dougie's mate up north, because trying to get everyone to work in London is like trying to pull teeth. So I've got 2 logos. I've got all gas, no brakes.
Brilliant.
And I've got cash, grass, and ass. That's what I've got on the logos. What I do worry about sometimes about YouTube is that I'm quite a humble guy. I'm not, although we have been really successful, I'm quite humble, and I do worry sometimes that showing what you do, and that I'm not trying to put it out there that I'm better than anyone else. Do you know what I mean?
I think people's biggest concerns with YouTube are like, what are people going to think of me? Are you going to get a load of trolls? Are you going to get a load of hate? And do you know what? 99% of it is just love. It's just like loads of really positive comments, loads of really good feedback. It's so easy to scroll down and find that one. There'll be an idiot in the comments of this video here, and it's easy for the human brain to go and read that comment. But I guarantee you there'll be 10, 15 above going, what a top guy you are. And someone like yourself, it's not like your story, you've not been given any silver spoon. You've really grafted for it, and people really appreciate that as well. So that's the last thing I'd be worried about, to be honest.
Yeah, and they'll be your biggest fan.
You know something? I've got a picture on my wall. I'll show it to you. So that is. Can you see that?
Mine's pixelated.
Not very well. We'll be able to see it in the video once it's done because it'll be better quality.
It looks like the front or the back end of a car.
No, what it is, it's an old IKEA bookshelf, and it's got picture hooks in it. And when I was living in that bedroom, it was the first time I'd had enough money to buy 2 cars, and I used the picture hooks as hooks to put the cars on, and that's a shed at home. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I picked it, because
that's the
reminds
origins.
me. Yeah, what we started, 1,800 quid, building up from 100 quid a day trading cars to get 1,800 quid. And that 1,800 quid, it's, I will say though, the bigger you get, the more impersonal it gets. And I love my family with me. And having 30 odd staff here, it's great, but it's not personal anymore. Sadly. Do you know what I mean?
Do you get out and deal with customers yourself at all? Are you out and about on the shop floor?
I do talk to them. I do go down and say, "How you doing? How's things? How's your experience been?" Glad to, thank you for. I love chatting to people. I love that. And when it was me and my sons in Croydon, it was me and my 2 boys, 1 salesman, 1 mechanic, and 1 valeter driver thing. We stocked 50 cars and we sold 45 a month.
Wow.
Because my boys' product knowledge, because they worked with me for 15 years, their product knowledge was unbelievable, and they didn't let anyone go. And that was the level of detail we had, and the level of efficiency we done. It was super efficient. And then you try and transfer it into this, it all goes bandy. We have been really successful here, really successful, and I do enjoy it still. But I do think I need to make some changes now. And having to lose the other site across the road, what it is, it's a farm. It's right next door to the Russian Seaford House. You can Google it. Seaford Gate, Seaford House. It's owned by the Russian embassy. It's right next door to that. And they've put up drones and stuff, so they've complained to the council. that we've got cars there and they're parked there and this and that. So now we have to remove all the vehicles. But we've got 6 months to do it. But I thought it's a good time to scale back, look at what our operation is, and go from there. But, on average, we sell 8 cars a day here, which is great. It's brilliant. But it does become the norm as well. We might sell 4 with product, 2 with none, and 2 with losses. That's the average of what happens.
See that you guys are so laid back about that. Selling cars with losses. That's for that. You guys, a lot of you guys on the channel on the group are so laid back about that. I'm tight as a duck's ass. That car will sit there until it makes me a profit, with very, very few exceptions. But I guess I'm not playing the numbers game. You are. I mean, I'm looking at each. Could you even look at each car individually, or are you just looking overall?
If you look, see there, Joe, to the right there. Can you see? Oh, you can't see where I'm pointing. See that blue sign just on the right, St. Augustine Cemetery.
Yeah.
See that?
Oh yeah. Here.
That's where my cars are.
Oh,
They're all down the track. Everything. There's
There they
tons
are.
of them.
Oh yeah.
And that's where you take your pictures then, because your picture's always in a nice field.
That's it.
You
And
look
then
quite,
next
yeah,
door,
you look quite rural, didn't you?
this is Church Farm, and then next to that is the Russian embassy, the Russian Seagate House.
Assuming on Motor4U then. Wow.
Oh God!
How often do you go around and clean all those cars, Sheik, or do they only get cleaned for when they're
You know
actually
what?
sold?
We do the front line mostly every day. The valeting bay is right at the end on the right hand side, on the other side, and then the body shop. That's it. It's just so.
I bet you love it when they come and say, I want to see that one in the far back left-hand corner. You haven't got an inch of space there, have you?
When you go 200 cars, we'll be a lot less. There's
Holy
260
moly.
on the site at the moment. But when we get back to 200 cars, it will be. Mate, it's embarrassing.
How old is it you'll go? How old? What will you actually retail?
What, sell a month?
No, as in how old would you go on a car before you won't retail it?
We'll go anything really, but we try and stick to 3 years ex-lease.
Really? Right, okay. Isn't that what everybody else wants, though, when it comes to an auction ex-lease 3 years? Isn't that like a really hard thing to buy at auction?
It is. That's why it's so competitive, because everybody wants that stock. If you're our size, everybody wants that stock.
So you're having to overpay and then make up for it on product?
Yeah, 100%.
But then that's what everyone else is doing as well. That's why they're in demand, aren't they? Because they're the kind of cars that people are going to look for. They want them on finance because they're that new and that expensive. They want the products. They want the gap. They want, to protect it and all that sort of stuff. So it works for that.
I go down the main dealers where I get some of my Part X's from, and they've got all the mobility stock that's got to go back through the auction. Loads and loads of it, and you walk through it and go, and then no, James, hands off. You can't have any of that. It's all got to go to the auction. It's gold sitting there.
I had HRO in group for 7 years, a whole group. So I had
Alfa Romeos.
Alpha, St. Albert, Parsons Green.
I love
I
an
had,
Alfa.
do you know how many Breras, 147s, 156s, QVs, Juliettas?
Well, I know how many timing changes you must have done then.
Do you know, once I picked up a QV Brera 3.2. It was stunning.
Yeah.
Oh, I sold it to Veloces of London. Sold it to them. It's such a rare beast, and they stick $5,000 on everything.
Did you ever get an S in? I always wanted an S. I wanted an
No.
S 3.2 with a leather stitch dash.
No,
they're pretty
never
rare,
had
aren't
one.
they?
But do you know what was great? Remember the scrappage scheme?
Yeah.
The scrappage scheme, where they started getting loads of in London, everybody wanted to be part of the scrappage scheme, so they were getting loads of old crappers in. We couldn't have them, but it encouraged everyone to buy new cars, so they got really busy, Alpha, and we were getting things like we had a LeBaron, Chrysler LeBaron from them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had one of them left-hand drive cabriolet thing. we used to get the most interesting cars from them because the BBC were around the corner and they bought a lot of Alphas. BBC, I don't know why, but we had so many great cars from there. And then we had St Albans, Ferrari, Maserati, and Pasha and Omar, my two sons, used to go take the train up there. They'd come back in like an M5 Touring or a Gran Turismo or we had so many Maseratis out there.
Hating life, those two boys, weren't they? Hating life.
We had SL55s. We had Aston Martin Colchester. We had Broughton's Bentley in Weybridge. We had tons. And then a guy bought the whole group. 7 years on, they bought the whole group, and he said no more trade. And he opened up an auction site. Yeah, and they had a central area in Brentford near Middlesex, and all the cars would go there, and then you bid on HRO in auction for those cars. The last car bought was David Gould's Phantom, the West Ham owner.
Right. And did you just trade these kind of cars on? Would you trade these on to somebody else, or would you retail them yourself?
I retailed a lot. When I had my connections in HROing, you imagine they'd taken a Bentley GT part exchange. It'd have a bonnet chip, it'd have windscreen repair, and it needed brakes. They put it in their workshop, that's 14 grand. So they said, don't worry about that, send it to Sheik. So they'd sell it to me for like 30 with a 20 grand margin. I'd get the work done for 2 grand, and then you'd have massive margins in them. So I got spoiled. I bought 360, 430, 458, must have had 35 Bentleys.
Do you think these main dealers make more out of the cars after you factor in all these transporting them back and forth to auctions and the fees at auction? Do you think it's just all about stopping backhanders? Because I can't imagine they really make much more out of doing it than letting a local trader just come and take it all away from them.
Interestingly enough, I got a real insight from my friend who lives on the same road as my mate who does a bit of consultancy for me. He was DP of Marshall's Group. So he gave me a real insight into how they operate. They're very strict on their stock turn because their stock turn costs them 30 grand a month if you don't get it right. You're not allowed to buy a car if you don't do your stock turn because you haven't got any money. You literally haven't got any money.
This is why I don't understand, Sheik, because if I go down to main dealers now and I pick up 3 cars, I pay there and then. And take them away. That car could have come in at 9 o'clock in that morning, and I've got it off site by 12 and it's paid for in full. Why would you not want more of that? And like I say, unless it's something about backhander brown envelopes.
Yeah, that's exactly why they stopped it all, because it was so out of control. And every single site had their own one. There was a lot of that stuff going on. Tons
Did you have to do a little bit of that? I'm not naming any names, but did you have to do a bit of that yourself?
All the time. All the time. If you knew the holidays, driveways, extensions, all that stuff. But it paid for my house. That's the truth. Yeah. It was
it's just business at the end of the day. I mean, technically it's just business, isn't it? But what I think the problem you're talking about like growing a big business and it not being personable and not being on top of everything. You think about having a dealer group and it's run by CEOs and regional managers, and then you've got a sales manager in one branch. There used to be one up at us that was a little Suzuki place. Long before I ever got involved with cars, but I had friends who were in cars, so I even knew of this then. And he would get the part exchanges in, and this Suzuki garage would be selling them at a loss. But the sales manager was walking around with a different Rolex for every day of the week because he was just selling them off to the local dealers, nice and cheap, because they could write off or sell it at cost or whatever it was, and they were giving him a bung to make sure they got all the good stuff.
All of these dealer groups. I was just talking to my killer salesman. He sells 3 platinums a day. That's how good he is. He's ex-BMW. And he was saying that, he said, I wouldn't want to work in a main agent, Sheik. He said, the problem with main agent is you get 2 leads a day. You might sell 4 cars every 2 weeks. He said, when it comes to new car reg, the month before you do nothing because everyone's waiting for the new reg. He said, it's so hard and it's so detailed in a main agent. They have so many strict regulations and rules and everything else. And we are very compliant. IDD, commission disclosure, everything we have to do now. And being honest, it hasn't really changed the market for us. We're doing more finance than ever. Our main is Northridge. So they're Bank of Ireland. Then we've got about 11 vendors, but that hasn't changed. The market really hasn't changed that much. I don't know about you, Joe. How have you found it?
I think we do more finance currently than we have done. I think despite it being a bit quieter, the last 3 months we've probably done more finance than we did in the previous 9. I don't know why. We're still not doing huge volumes. Nothing like you do. Our finance pen's probably like 15% or something. And I'd like to
Haven't you
do a
gone
bit
to higher
more.
value cars though?
To a degree, yeah.
Started doing nicer stuff, didn't you? Higher end of stuff.
Do you quote every customer?
No, we don't. I want to because I know you said it in our last
You
one, and
need
you
to
said
do
whether
that.
they come in saying they've got cash, you do them a finance quote anyway. And
Yeah.
basically, we use Dealerkit. You can go through the added products. Like, do you want to discuss products? So it'd be like, do you want to extend your warranty? Do you want to go for what is our new customer care fee, which is thanks to having spoken to you. So we're £199, and we make it a value to the customer, and it is optional, so you don't have to have it. But
But you
if
see,
you
but you're saying, Joe, do you? And what that's saying to the customer is no, and that stops the competition.
well, I'm just saying that's what it says on our screen, but we'll be like, we'll word it differently. We need some practice on that. We probably should get a salesperson in to kind of talk us through it. But I do think another thing we should do the whole. I know we're talking about this car's £10,000. Just out of curiosity, would £1,000 down, or would keeping £9,000 in your pocket and only spending £300 a month, sound better to you?
I remember being trained by a sales trainer when I was about 18. I did cars for a few years, and it was, like you were saying, you didn't really ask. You said, look, for your car to go out with bodywork protection, with gap, and with whatever this is the price, and then with your part exchange, this is the price to change. And if you want to finance it, this is going to be the monthly fee. And I would invariably they would knock maybe one or two things off, but they'd always leave one thing on there for sure. There'd always be at least one or two products left on there.
I'll be honest with you. If you don't offer the product, I know some people don't like to offer product, but you're not giving the customer your full experience.
I've had a bit of a mind shift from like don't want to be offering stuff because people see it as like snake oil and whatever to as we're talking about like slimming down and being more efficient, and it's not, you can't make more money just by throwing more money at it now. You've actually got to get better at the job. So it's like I want to act like I'm chic. Do you know what I mean? I want, even though we've only got 40 cars here, I want to act like I've got 400, and we can offer all that sort of stuff. It's added value, and people who we've had the customer care fee have bought it from us. They've loved it, and there's been
Well,
no kickback.
yeah,
It's funny because I was thinking because of the value of the cars that I sell that I couldn't be involved in this whole like add-ons conversation. And I was talking to you about it, Joe, and about you were saying, what does your fee include? It includes you can have.
I think it would work even better for you, James, because people like they're spending all the money they've got. They're going to want it. So if you were to say, if you were to do exactly what I do, which our customer care fee, which is optional, is £199. So it's 160 quid once you take the VAT out of it. So it's not a huge amount. But basically, we just make a whole point of saying you don't have to take it. Regardless of that, you get your 3 months warranty, bring it back to us and we'll fix it. But if you want to take the customer care fee, we'll make sure it's got 20 quid's worth of fuel in it for when you drive away, so you don't have to fill it up before you get home. We will give you 3 months national warranty, so you can take it to any garage, like through our self-funded BAA warranty admin people. For another 18 quid, they include 3 month breakdown. So you get 3 month national warranty. You get 3 month breakdown. So should you need it, they'll take you to the garage or whatever. If you're bringing it back to us, we'll give you a courtesy car.
I was just thinking about it because like I'm putting 20 quid in every car anyway. I'm putting floor mats in every car anyway. I paid out a bill yesterday for someone to have a battery fitted at a garage, and they charged £75 for the diagnostics. They charged 50 quid for fitting, and they charged 250 quid for the battery. Well, if that had been done here, that would have cost me £110. So I'm thinking all this stuff, it is totally fair to turn around and say, well, okay, for an added fee, I'll let you have a garage with it. Otherwise, you bring it back to me. The floor mats are a tenner. So it's 30 quid a car, 20 cars, 30 quid. I'm on a one-man band. That's just money straight in my pocket, isn't it? If I'm covering it with an admin fee.
what I will say is what Joe was saying just then. It's building the value into the product. See how Joe just explained it? When you sell your cars, James, and someone's buying a £5 grand car, and or a £3 car or a £4 car, if you say to them, you get a 150-point check on that, you get a fresh MOT with no advisories if it's less than 6 months, you get the full OEM service, whatever it is, if it's due that service, you get a 3-month breakdown warranty, and you've got to pay for that anyway. You've got to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So why not build the value into the product and let someone else pay for it?
I'm doing oil and filters on cars that aren't even due the oil and filter yet, and I'm eating that, and that's 150 quid if they go anywhere else, isn't it? If you're buying a car at £3,000, there is an argument to say that, you know, something like a £150 service, you can either buy the car without an oil and filter service, or you can buy it with an oil and filter service on it. That's, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
It's almost like it makes more sense that I should be charging that than somebody potentially who's on a 25k car who started off with a 3 or 4k margin in it.
You know, make them aware that it's optional. But then when it comes to it, because you know what it's like, you'll sell them the car, you won't charge, you know, a care fee or whatever, and they'll take it away. And like you say, someone will want, oh, can I get a battery fitted remotely or whatever? And of course you're just like, yeah, take it to wherever is closest and easiest for you. And the bill comes through and it's a right kick up the arsehole. And you're like, but what can I do? Whereas now you're going to be completely justified if they've turned down their customer care fee and they've signed their sheet to say that they didn't want it, to say, no problem at all. If get it back to us and we'll get it rectified for you, you know, as soon as possible. We're going to help you. You've got your legal requirement.
When you scale and you're doing, I don't know, 100 warranties a month, let's just say that. When a problem arises, it's not a problem because you just pay for it. Get on with it. Do you know what I mean? You can't be bothered with it. You squash it. When I was 50 cars in Croydon and an engine blew up, it's painful. Always painful. And it hurt. You know, it hurt me badly, and I'd want to get that car back, put an engine in myself, spend a week sourcing an engine and doing all this. When you're doing that scale, you're not worried about it. Yesterday I had a phone call for a seat module on an Evoque. 2 years they've had the car or something. I said, just pay it. 158 quid. Just pay it.
2 years later?
Well, Sheik sells 2-year warranties.
Yeah, we do 3-year, 4-year warranties.
Oh, wow, right, okay.
Because you know why? We pay on our warranties.
And how much did that customer pay for the 3-year warranty with you?
£2,000.
£2,000 for the 3 years. And what's the module and the fitting? That's probably not going to be cheap, is it? I wouldn't have thought.
158. It's like 158.
Right, okay.
You weren't privy to the first one. Just to kind of explain the situation, is again where you think about like a dealership like Sheik's is obviously at its base and core is a car dealership, but other than that, you're like a warranty company, you're like a finance brokerage, and that's kind of like where you can make your good money. Sheik was saying that what do you sell? Let's say for argument's sake, you sell 100 grand's worth of warranty a month.
Yeah. And our burn is 20. At most.
Yeah. So sticking it all in a pot, just betting on yourself and betting on your prep and betting on just statistics. I mean, what's the chances ever going to get to 100%? It's never.
Started doing that because I was paying warranty wise out on everything, and I've said this before, and I just started putting money into a pot instead. Every time I gave one of my warranties, I put aside what I would have given warranty wise, and I was shocked how quickly that accumulated into a decent amount of money.
We've always been auto protect, and what happened was about 5 years ago we put a decent warranty on a Range Rover Sport, and the diff was leaking, and they wouldn't pay it. It was 800 quid. They said we're not paying it, and it annoyed me to the max because I said to them, if you let that blow, that's going to blow the box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to blow the drive shaft, it's going to blow the housing, and it's going to do the box, and I'm going to end up with a £5,000 problem. I said, just pay it. It's 800 quid. They wouldn't pay it. So I got the car back. We fixed it and gave it back to the customer. And then I said, you know what? I want control of what I'm paying out. I want control. So we just pay an admin fee now for them to administrate it. We keep the pot ourselves, and we just let it happen like that.
I was just going to say, this is a point for me. Like, so you pay them to administer it, to manage it, but do they actually do that? Don't the phone calls just end up coming straight through to you anyway?
No. What they do is customer will contact them. Customer will send everything to them. They've got
and you instruct the customer at point of sale. That's the process. Yeah, you make sure they know at point of sale not to ring you on a warranty claim. Ring this number.
Exactly. And then they will ring the warranty company. The warranty company have got X amount they can spend without ringing me, and then they will ring me. if it's above that amount. And go, the circumstances are, or if it's difficult, they'll ring the service manager and explain it to him and everything else.
Are they turning down wear and tear? Are they turning down wear and tear and stuff like that, or are you just literally paying out on anything?
I think we pay out mostly on everything. I tell you why, because our burn isn't high. Because our prep's really good, our burn isn't high. You can play it two ways. You can either send them out non-prepped or semi-prepped and not spend too much money on them and wish, or you can prep them high and not have so much burn.
But in your case, for example, James, where you're more likely to get people niggling about stuff because it's an older car and all that sort of stuff, it's going to someone who's impartial and has got a set of rules in front of them that the customer signed up for with their warranty that says, yeah, I'm sorry, but because you've got a puncture in your tyre, that's not covered. Whereas you or I, because we're soft and people would just be like, look, I can't afford to buy a tyre now, and what am I going to do? And what am I going to do? And somehow it's our fault. It's 100% not our fault. It's just life, but we're just like, just take it in and I'll go halves with you. Would that help? But they'll take care of it for you and save you money.
Remember, James, you can set your claim limits. So you can say to the warranty, to your customer, this only covers you for 500 quid. If you want the bigger one, it's going to cost you a bit more money. If you think our finance pen is 67% here, yeah. Now we're on the hook 2 years, 3 years-ish sometimes. Do you know what I mean? With finance. If you build a warranty into the finance deal, then you're not really on the hook, are you? Really?
Yeah, the potential repairs have been covered for and more, and the odds are in your favour, aren't they?
Yeah. We're always in this job going to have issues. That's just the nature of the job. It's how you cope with them. Our buybacks are probably 15 a year, buybacks, maybe more, I don't know, maybe 20, something like that. Our
Nothing.
losses on sales are probably 20% on the £99. But you build that into your figures. It's what you build into it. But it's not all glory.
No, I was exactly the same as you, Sheik. What I had was I started being like, do you know what's going to be really sort of sensible is paying out on a warranty that was costing me. They were like, we can do a price at 100 quid for every car, whatever it is, for 6 months or something. And I was doing that on every car, and it came down to they wouldn't cover something really, really minor. It was like, we're talking like 100, 150 quid. And they wouldn't cover it because of X, Y, or Z. And I was like, yeah, I get that technically it's probably not covered, but could you help me out here? Because I'm spending $3,000 a month with you and have done for the last 6 months. If you could just, come on, you're getting a lot of money out of me and I'm not getting a lot of claims. This is the first one we know about. And they were like, no, we won't do it because of whatever. And I was like, hang on. I'm giving someone $3,000 a month for 6 months and they won't cover 150 quid. I'm mad.
But they're doing exactly what Sheik's doing anyway, aren't they? They have a pot that you spend with them, and they're trying to keep as much in that pot as possible. When it gets to a certain point, I've had warranty wise say to me, your pot's getting to a certain point where we've let some of these marginal ones go through. The next marginal one we might not let go through because we're not quite there. I mean, to be fair to them, they've paid out on some stuff that and they've paid some good. That I won't knock them because they have paid out quite well on a number of stuff, but. That's how they work. We might as well do it ourselves.
I'll tell you what's funny is when they ring me and they go, well, Sheik, we've got this claim here and we would pay for it. And I go, well, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I go, would you authorise that? They go, yeah, we would. I go, well, no, you wouldn't. You're lying. That's what you're doing. They like to. You remember, all we are doing is exactly the same as what they're doing. That's all we're doing. The same.
I remember you saying last time, that you just bank on yourself because if the warranty companies weren't making money out of this on the grander scale from all the dealers that are doing it, they haven't got a business, have they? So just do it yourself. Just do it yourself and keep all the money you can keep yourself, the better.
You can get it branded, just like your company. You know that you can get it branded. So if you want Chops Garage or you want Burrow Motors, you can have it all branded in your branding.
Yeah.
So what's the getting back onto your day-to-day trading? What are the cars that you don't really worry about sending out the door then in terms of warranty claims? What would you say are the most reliable sort of 3 to 5 year old cars you're selling?
EV, Tesla, I would say.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it a case of EVs there just isn't the moving components to cause you half the problems that an ICE car does?
No, I've got an EQE. I'm running at the moment at 53. and I do 110 miles a day. I've done 8,000 miles in that car in a couple of months. It's not missed a beat. Don't have to service it. Don't have to do nothing. My wife's had an iX for 2 years. It's going into BMs tomorrow to have some work done, but it's got steering recall and stuff like that. It's not missed a beat for 2 years. My daughter's got a Honda E. She's just changed to a Tesla Y. My other son's got an EQE. My other son's got a Taken. We all drive EQE. EV, all of us.
See, I almost think my job might get easier selling these older cars when I do start getting to EV, as long as the range is still okay on them. There's a lot of the problems that I'm not going to be doing timing chains. I'm not going to be doing wet belts. I'm not going to be doing EGRs, DPFs, catalytic converters, oxygen sensors, blah blah blah. I've literally eliminated like 50% of what my warranty claims are.
And the cars are smart enough to tell you what's wrong with them and what they want.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. Also, when it goes in the workshop, an EV is 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's no dropping the oil out or whatever.
If you look at the costings, I spend 4,000 a month on oil in the workshop. EV, you don't. But there's this price issue that can come and
they're coming down a bit, aren't they? I'm thinking of going EV because I'm going limited. I'm thinking of putting an EV through the business because I'm just looking at it and going, well, was it like, I know it's going up to 5%, but it's like 2%. 2%. This is a question I meant to ask you as well, actually. Well, I'll go on to that in a second. So it's like 2% benefit in kind, isn't it? It goes up to 5% over the next couple of years. You've got a charger on the wall at work, charge it up at work, so you don't have to worry about miles between home and back that you can't claim. There seems to be a lot of benefit to it. You're talking about your cars there, do you tend to put those cars through lease through the business, or do you tend to just use a piece of stock, or do you buy the cars yourself separately out of the business?
We just use stock. My wife's car is her car, but her EV, you got to remember, my wife does about a mile a day, if that. Her car has cost me not one. I put 2 tyres on the back. That's what it's cost me in 2 years. No road tax, no maintenance, no nothing. 2 years.
And that'd kill a lot of cars, wouldn't it? Just doing a mile like. There's a lot of combustion engine cars that won't live with that.
I paid 55,000 for it 2 years ago. Put it on a PCP with CA. Put 15 grand down, and that's 297 a month.
Yeah, there's some really incredible deals on. Yeah, the only reason I wouldn't see when you say drive a piece of stock. My only problem with driving a piece of stock is the way I see it is that if I put 40 grand into an EV, that's 40 grand I can't use to flip stock. Whereas if I'm leasing it and paying a small amount every month, I'll make more profit out of keeping the 40 grand in the business than I will do by buying the car.
Probably the cheapest way for you to do it, James, just get a personal loan from your bank to pay for your car. It would be like 3% or something.
Well, as I was going limited, I was just going to put it through the business anyway. I was just going to put it through as a company car because the benefit in kind.
But then if you want to borrow it, it's going to be more expensive. But I mean, unless you buy one on a PCP or something. I mean, I was thinking, do I get a lease car? Something a bit interesting, like a Ioniq 5N or something.
Yeah, I like the Iconic 5N. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
My landlord's just bought a brand new iX, and he's claiming back 18% a year, something like that. That's what he's on an iX.
Yeah, I just thought it sounded like a cheap way of getting money out of business as well, because I can't get money out of business at 2% or even 5%, can I? So if it's going out, if the company's paying for a lease car for me, it sounds like a cheap way of getting money out. I'm getting corrupted by all you boys in the group chats now with pension schemes and add-on bundles,
offshore accounts and an office in Barbados.
This country boy's been totally corrupted by all these big businessmen.
He used to have ducks. James has got a pond in his back garden. He used to have ducks, and now it's flamingos and pheasants. Not pheasants. What are they? Peacocks.
I'm still driving around in like a $3,000 Range Rover, I just can't put my head past that. Why would I just drive the cheapest piece of crap I got? And you'd laugh at me because I literally will drive whatever has fuel in it. So I went home in a 2005 Honda Jazz the other day, and my daughter's like, I am not getting taken to college in a 2005 Honda Jazz. But it's got 3/4 of a tank of fuel, love. I don't have to pay the debt.
But you're talking about your kind of really expensive tax bill that you're looking at, or expensive tax bill. Deserve to treat yourself, don't you? I think you do deserve to treat yourself, and I think you need to.
I can't treat myself because the money's going to the tax man, not in my back pocket.
Well, if you bought yourself a bloody car, less of it would have been.
The thing is,
point, isn't it?
although I love EV, I did buy my wife a Defender last week, so I've changed it now. She's had that IX 2 years, and I just bought her a Defender,
Yeah, I saw the
which is
Defender. Yeah.
it's a V8. But that thing, I do love cars. That's the thing. If you're in this industry, you love cars. EVs are soulless. They are.
The IQN though is that's where everybody seems to say that is more of a driver's car, don't they? They do say that one. It makes all the noises. It's got the false gear change, isn't it? It's got all the stuff to give you a hit
Yeah.
of driver,
It's like
isn't it?
it is. I don't dislike EVs and whatever, but I do feel that one thing that puts me off the Ionic 5N with all the noises and whatever, they all sound like an arcade game. The noises they make, it doesn't sound genuine. And then I feel
Yeah.
like when you used to play video games, which I still do sometimes, you play it for a bit too long, and it's like, oh, I got sick of this now. It's just boring.
Well, a
And that's
Hyundai.
what the car would be like.
It's about time you stepped up and gave Joe and I, me
Press
most
car,
importantly,
please. Yeah,
a car to
a
try
long-term
out, because
review car.
we shout about Hyundai reliability till the cows come home. I do anyway.
Hyundai. At least get it right if you want a
Hyundai.
car, have them
Yeah,
for free.
bollocks! I've screwed that right
Yeah.
up, haven't I? Yeah,
We just
screwed that
sold
right
one
up.
of the new Sportages, 22 plate. It was in like an island green colour. It was a really nice car, lovely looking thing. I think they're great. We've got a camper at the moment that a bloke done an inspection on yesterday. A caravel thing with a stove and stuff. I've got an MX5 in stock, James. 10
You
plate.
love. I. One thing I love about you, you're always like, we put on a chat about a car, and you're like, I've got one of these tucked up out the back over there. I've got one of these tucked up out the back over there. You're definitely a car guy, definitely a massive car guy.
I went and looked at my 944 yesterday, and the bloody roof's off. I took it out of the showroom and put it out in the yard, and it's the water level is like there. It's really, it's got a cover on it, so I've got to empty the. I told the lads to empty the water out of it yesterday, but I've got to get on top of my cars. I've got a 300ZX out there that I lost the key. The transport guy, when he brought it from Croydon to here, lost the key to it, but it's rotten. But it's a manual short wheelbase, so it's quite
Right.
rare. But it's
You
rotten.
sound as bad. You sound as bad as me. I've got just crap sat around me that I'm doing nothing with. I just look at it and go, yeah, but I still want it. It never goes anywhere really.
Your Trans Am's a serious big hit.
It is quality. It's a typical Chops car, sprayed with a fence panel sprayer, seats dyed with black fabric dye. There's loads of stuff that isn't quite right with it, but I still just get on and use it. Now, I do actually use that quite a bit. I take it down the pub. The trouble is, you try and have a pint, and everyone wants to photograph their kids sitting in it, and they want to hear it start up all the time. But I use that quite a bit in the summer. But I just have that anyway because I'm a kid. I just have a look at it because smoking the bandit was such a thing. I just have it parked up anyway, just to look at. But the other stuff needs to go.
Did you watch that episode of Gas Monkey Garage when he bought it with
Yeah.
built one for his
Yeah, and he got,
we
he, got him
put Dylan signed it.
he got to him just before he passed away, didn't he? He got him to sign off the dashboard.
Yeah.
He didn't pass away too long after that, did he? But that's another thing with that's another mistake I made, Joe, with the tax man is I could have just bought a load of stuff for my Trans Am and not paid the tax man that money, and I could have just done all the suspension and all the wheels and everything, couldn't I? That would have been totally tax deductible. I missed a trick there.
That's what I'm saying to you. That's why you need a limited company, and then the company buys the stuff that you want.
Yeah, I just like I always knew about limited companies. I just like the flexibility of being a sole trader. Just meant, I didn't have to get everything signed off by accountants, and I didn't have to do it by dividends and all the other guff that comes with it.
You don't have to do it by dividends. The flexibility you're talking about with being a sole trader is that they are going to come and rape you for every stitch of tax of every bit of profit you've made that year. There is no offsetting it, leaving it in the business.
Yeah, even my charity donations, which it took me a while to twig this, that when I paid out to the charity, I'm getting taxed on that money to the charity because it's not tax deductible as a sole trader, which
Isn't
is
it?
ridiculous. No, sole trader charity donations are not tax deductible as a sole trader. Neither is your
didn't know
health care if you want to do health care. Neither your dental care. None of that. Yeah, you treat it just like an employee.
Yeah. Well, you may as well make yourself an employee then, haven't you? And then you can get perks of you can give yourself a load of employee perks. Your Chops Garage LLC could treat James Harding to Domino's pizzas every Tuesday.
Mate, I'm sold. That's it. I'm sold. That is it. Sod any other benefit.
You know the guy you had on yesterday, what's his name?
Oh, Sam. Yeah. What's on court?
Yeah, I watch his channel. He's such an interesting guy because he's so talented.
Yeah, jolly good chaps. Yeah. It's quite funny watching him interact with James, who's like, "Yeah, you need to get up to the bollocks in stocking." He's like, "Well, James, okay, old chap. Yeah, well,
Oh yeah, I saw a clip of that. I haven't watched it yet. I saw a clip of that. Yeah.
Do you know what though? His setup he's got is really good for 500 quid a month.
yeah, crazy what he's
It's
got there."
really nice what he's set up. He's got a bottom forecourt, top forecourt. He's got everything out of there.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
that's a real gem if you can find a place like that. That's the sort of place where it's hard to ever expand to somewhere else, isn't it? Because it's such a good deal.
Oh, it's lovely, and you can stay really neat and tidy. But you know what, Joe? It's in our blood not to. It's in our blood to be confused and be annoyed with everyone.
But there we are. Right, we are knocking on. It's been a pleasure to have you on again, Sheik. I am going to book in with you the next couple of months if you're about, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to see you, and we'll film a video. And then while we're there, I'll stay over, and then the next morning we'll film the pilot episode of,
Yeah.
Motor
I'd love
for
to,
You.
Joe. I'd love to hop in on that. I'd love to hop in on that because I'd like to see Sheik set up. I've been meaning to do that. So yeah.
Do you know what? Round here it's so pretty. You've got Bedgebury, Buellwater. It's stunning around here. Really nice area. We're the only people who spoil it.
No, I'd love to come and see a setup like that. And I absolutely want to see you getting filming on the Sheik for sure.
That's why we'll come and film for mine and James's benefit. Meet you, have a hug and all that sort of stuff, and then
Definitely.
then
We'll go
come
for a
back
nice.
the next morning, fresh in the morning. Me and the video guys will be there, 7 a.m. or whatever time your guys turn up, and we'll film them unlocking and opening up, and we'll get we'll put it together. And when you see it, you'll have a grin from ear to ear, and you'll be like, "Yeah, we should do this."
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. The feedback will be ace, and you'll be like more of it.
Me on. Really appreciate it. And it's so great being part of something really special. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it, Sheik, mate.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice again that we've got you back on for a second time. It's all a bit more less formal, isn't it? And whatever. And we just have a general chin wag.
I've really enjoyed it.
I mean, we do all this sort of stuff anyway, chatting in our group, but it's letting the listeners in on it and whatever. So yeah, it's good stuff. And there was loads of really interesting and useful stuff in this one. I think talking about scaling back and God knows what, I can't even remember. But yeah, brilliant. If you want to find Sheik, you can find him at Motor4U.com. We'll put links in the description. He doesn't really do much social media. We'll link to his TikTok account because he does do that, and I have watched some of his TikToks. And yeah, everyone in the comments get in there and tell Sheik, do you know what? Maybe I'll do like a pinned comment, like this comment if you want Sheik to start, Motor4U weeklies. And we'll
Thank
do that.
you, guys.
It's going to be
so
like.
much.
Did you ever see that the call centre in Wales? Did you ever see that documentary? The call.
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be just like that. Just like that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be brilliant. You'll have just that shots of Sheik come over top, like, why is no one answering that phone or whatever it is.
You've just cost me 20 grand on that. Yeah. We'll have to do some fake stuff. We'll have to get some paint reactions on the go, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the what was it, Orange County Choppers or whatever.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's enough drama here, mate. Don't worry about it.
I thought there would be. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll put all the links below. Pleasure having you on. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, James. Cheers, John.
Cheers, mate.
Take care, guys.